Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 8 NBA Cup games here on Friday. We're going to be taking a look at the matchup data and the insights that you need to get your bets down here for those NBA Cup games. And the NBA Cup usually does mean a few more points in these games since point differential comes into play in the regular season standings of the NBA Cup. It does usually mean teams try not to get blown out. It also means they try to blow out the other team, right? We're going to be taking a look at the Swishland model. I'm really excited to show you the projections that we have. Plus, we've got the matchup data now, and I'm going to start presenting that to you guys as well. Give you a little insight into how we're doing this here. We got player archetypes that we're putting up against defenses to see how they do in terms of field goal attempts, assists, and the like. So really excited to show you some of that stuff and then bring that to everybody who is in the NBA projections package as well. But if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. As always, going to be using Props Madness here on the show, the #1 sports betting research tool for all things with matchups and the insights that you need. Definitely use code LYB when you do sign up. That'll get you 25% off your first month here on this platform. Really excited to show you that they now have the thing I've been showing you guys this year. Players who don't have lines, we can still look at their data. We can still sort of peruse how they've done recently. Really, really helpful because last year, if a guy wasn't in or didn't have lines, we didn't really get the data for him that we could use for the research. But as we know, we're also going to be getting into the NBA projections from Swishland and the model. And like I said, here are some of the matchup data where we're going to go down and see how teams or how players are going do and will fare against these defenses based on how good the defenses are at limiting rebounds, attempts, all the like, right? So let's start using Props Madness here, getting into the Celtics and the Magic. And I don't have as much for this game, but I got to go back to what worked last time in terms of Derek White. We talked about that in the show last game, under 29.5 PRA. It was only 29.5 PRA because it was the Wizards. But we know that even before that Wizards game, he was averaging about 22 PRA per game on the season. Derek White is a really good player. He's just not your best player, and shouldn't be your second best player either. If you expect him to do well, a lot of his success and the games that he played incredibly well for the Celtics over the last 2 or 3 seasons came because there was a lot of other guys around, right? And he's just not a guy who's going to beat a ton of guys off the dribble, create his own shot, or even necessarily be able to get around guys to create shots for others, right? The Celtics team relied on ball movement and the defense sucking in to try to stop Jason Tatum, to try to stop Jaylen Brown, to try to stop Kristaps Porzingis. It wasn't ever meant to stop Derek White. He was always getting open threes because of the fact that everybody else was focused upon, right? So I do think 27 or 26.5 is still going to be a fade for Derek White. This Magic defense is #1 limiting 3-point attempts. They're #1 limiting rebounds and assists to playmakers. It's really tough to score on this team. And despite the fact that they have the 17th defensive rating, which is not good right now, they still are very good above the break. And I believe they're going to keep getting better down low as guys like Wendell Carter Jr. and Goga Bitadze even help them out in terms of defending the rim. So that's my real only bet for this one is going to be the Derek White under. I do want to take a quick look at the model here and see what it thinks about Derek White as well. Still have 35 minutes, which is high, but 15 points, that's under what his prop is at. 4.5 on the assists here. So this comes out to about, right, like let's call it 20 and then maybe 23.5 PRA. That's what the model has projected for him, even in 35 minutes, right, which is where he's at usually. 35 minutes on the season is about 33. So pretty good under here for Derek White. That's the only thing I like. One consideration is that his usage has gone towards Anthony Simons. So this might be a potential game for Simons once again, but I'm not in a rush to take much for this Celtics squad against Orlando. I do think the Magic will continue to find their footing and be better on defense and good enough on offense as well. Cavs and Wizards, we've got a 14-point spread here. I think this thing could get ugly pretty quickly. We know that Darius Garland is back. I do think I'm looking at another under for him. I went under PRA at 21.5 for him in his first game back against the 76ers. He shot poorly in that game, right? 3 for 11, kind of what you expect in your first game back, even though Jalen Green went off tonight for the Suns. But more importantly, the 26 minutes. And I don't think he's going to get much more than that against a Wizards team that they should be beating by a lot by the half, right? And I think that means Darius Garland doesn't need to play quite as much in this one. And I don't think he will. So that's really the main reason for the PRA. You're not going to catch me say under PRA for most guys, guards, especially going up against Washington. Washington's going to be a team much like Charlotte, much like the Pelicans, even the Jazz, where it's like, look, play your young guys, play the guys that you can sort of give some experience to against bad defenses. And there's no one really like that on the Cavs, but Darius Garland's not someone that you have to play against the Wizards very much in his second game back from injury. So that's where I'd be going as another fade. 23.5 PRA. Sounds weird. Maybe, look, if I'm wrong, it's because they play him a bunch because it's an easy comp, but that doesn't make nearly as much sense to me. So I do like the fade for him. I'm also considering a first quarter points play for Jared Allen. If we do get this at 3.5, which I don't know if we will or not, it might be 4.5. I think 3.5 is a great number to beat. If you look at him in the first quarter, they definitely get him going. He's at about 9 minutes per game in the first quarter. If you look at the field goal attempts for him as well, up about 3. Only needs to make 2 at 3.5. This is a Wizards team down low that, Alex Sarr is still undersized. They're not going to have much for Jared Allen. I think this is going to be a really nice bet for him in quarter one, and then he won't even really probably have to play 30 minutes once again. Probably see some Jalen Tyson and the young guys coming in on the end of the bench there for this Cavs squad. Getting into the Rockets and the Spurs game, I want to get into Amen Thompson because I do think we have a pretty good look here that I found using this stuff here that I'm going to be starting to show you guys the matchup data that we're using on the Swishland model so that we can sort of see how do players do against these defenses, right? So here you can see for Amen Thompson, the Spurs allow 21st, they're 21st in terms of allowing field goal attempts to athletic finishers, and they allow the second most assists to athletic finishers. So what we're saying here is that they don't really give up a ton of points to guys at the rim, but they do give up points to guys who pass, who normally would be finishing at the rim, right? And we're going to come up with really awesome ways to show this stuff to you guys so it's nice and visually easy to read and all that. But if we look at Amen here in the projections as well, 16.5 points, 8 boards, 4.5 dimes, right? The points a little bit even, right, with what he's at, 16.5. That makes sense. The assists here at 5.5. I think that's still going to be a beatable number, and the boards as well. Like I think the RA is the way to go for Amen. One guy that sort of backs that up here in terms of what he did against them, if we go to recent players similar to them, look at Jaime Jaquez in terms of the points, just 6 points in that game. I think he and Amen Thompson are similar. They both score around the rim predominantly, and then they are both able to make passes and rebound very well as well from sort of a hybrid 4 kind of position. Amen, maybe you consider him a point guard. He's really still sort of like a 4 for this squad. But if we look at the rebounds for Jaime, in that game, 8 boards, right? Similar players down here. You can see 8 boards for him in that one as well. And the assists, he had 6 dimes in that game, which really stands out to me as another sort of a good example of what we might be able to expect here from Amen Thompson. So the combo of the data here in terms of other players who do what Amen does, achieving points and rebounds and assists rather, and not points. Also the data, the matchup data telling us that his archetype of player, we have Amen listed as an athletic finisher, as you can see right here. Those types of players are not necessarily going to be suited to score at the rim against Wemby and the Spurs, but they will be suited to pass out off of that and get some rebounds as, Şengün, if Adams plays, which I think he will, these guys are going to be spending their time boxing out Wembanyama, making sure he doesn't get to the rim. That leaves opportunities for guys like Amen Thompson to swoop in and get those boards that are left behind by Wemby. This is my favorite bet for the squad here for the Rockets. On the other side, sneaky. Love Julian Champagnie. Gotta love him, man. Like he's been playing minutes, first of all. 29, 33, 31, 23, and 31, right? And then 36. I mean, he's averaging, 30 minutes a game at this point on the season. 29.7, so 30 for Champagnie, right? If you look at the rebounds, really good number. 4.5 rebound chances for him on the season. He's at 10. You expect him to get 5 to 6 boards per game when he's getting 10 rebound chances per game. Rockets a great team. Not a good team, a great team. Really good rebounding team, really good everything team. There might not be that many points in this game, but rebounds I think we can say are dependable. And Champagnie is going to be another guy similar to how Amen's going to come in and try to get those boards while the bigs are boxing each other out. I think Julian Champagnie does that as well. And I'm not scared of the points either. 8.5. I think 10 and 4 is a good look for him in this game if you want to parlay those together. If you look at him last season, he came in randomly and just played a whole bunch for a number of stretches. The minutes for him last year were at 22. But what happened when he played as many minutes as he's averaging right now? Let's say he plays 26 to 30, right? Which this year, that's what he's averaging. It's about 28 minutes or almost 30 minutes. So this is even a low projection for him. But if you put him at 26 to 30, he's at 11.6 points per game. He's at 5 boards per game. If you put him up at closer to 32, which is where he is this season, 28 to 32 minutes, 5 boards per game, 13.5 points per game. So a little 15-point plus points. This is not a great defense to try to go up against. The Rockets are very good defense. It's not good for offenses to play them. But I think Champagnie is going to be one guy that continues to get ignored, right? He's not going to get the focus of this Rockets defense. And I think he'll be able to have some success against them on the points and the boards. Quick reminder, Novig is the sportsbook of the month here on LandYourBets.com. It's a sportsbook exchange, so you can bet against your peers rather than the sportsbook itself. You can set your own lines, have people bet against those, or go find the lines that your peers have set and try to bet against those, right? So sign up, use code LYB. You'll go ahead and get all the free bonus bets and all that. And then hit us up at support@landYourBets.com. That's the email to hit up and say, hey, I just signed up for Novig using your code, and I would like a free month on LandYourBets.com so I can access these projections, all the matchup data, and get all the bets. Happy to get you guys on there. Getting into this Charlotte and Miami game, always hunting players who are going up against the Charlotte Hornets squad. I found some stuff out that, we got to obviously talk about how Bam is not in anymore. He's got the toe issue. Not going to play in this game. Don't think he'll be back for a few games, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Either way, we're talking about a starting lineup of Powell, Wiggins, Kalel Ware, Davion Mitchell, and probably Pell Larson. Like I don't think that'll change. You'll get Jaquez coming off the bench. Ware will take Bam's spot, and that'll be pretty much it, right? Norm will be in there. The thing that was interesting is Andrew Wiggins is the one who seems to benefit the most when he's on court without Bam Adebayo. It's not even about games that he's played in full without Bam. It's about in the game when he's on court and Bam is not. That's when he's the player who gets the biggest jump in everything: points, rebounds, and assists. He averages 8 points per 36 minutes more when Bam is not on court with him, right? So that's basically like a point every 4 minutes more with Bam not out there, which is considerable, right? So I think if he gets to the 32 minutes or so that we expect, he's been playing about 32 per game, sometimes a bit more. If they need him, he'll play more. I doubt he'll be needed that much. I think the Heat will handle business against the Hornets, but I still think he'll be a big contributor both in the points, assists, and rebounds. Like PRA is a fine play in my opinion, but I think the points are the best sort of the thing that you get the biggest edge with. He's averaging 28 points per 36 minutes without Bam. So if he plays 32 minutes without Bam, I do think he's good for like 23, 24 points. I think that's a big enough edge over 19 and a half. Against a Hornets team that we know is going to be one of the worst defenses. It's going to be playing at a super fast pace, so there's going to be some opportunities. The other guy is going to be Davion. I think assists, 7.5. Okay, I haven't actually seen it yet. I think the RA, and that's what I was considering here. The RA is going to be my favorite play here because while the assists go up for Davion as well, without Bam, he gets up to about 8.5 assists per 36 without Bam. If we look at that on the season, he's at about 8 exactly. I think this goes up a tick. He had the 9 on 20 potentials, by the way, against Charlotte in their last game. That was without Norm Powell, but I think the assists are actually, the Bam eats into those more than Norm does, right? So with Norm out there and not Bam, I think it's just as good of an opportunity as it was last game against the Hornets when the inverse was true, right? When Norm was out and Bam was in, he still had a ton of assists in that situation. I think this is more fortuitous for him getting those dimes now that Bam is out and he's going to have another shooter at his disposal in Norm Powell to get his points. So that's pretty much what I like in that game. I think Davion and Andrew Wiggins are the guys to attack in that game. Looking at the Bulls and the Bucks, there can be some pretty good stuff in this one, I think, as well, especially for the Bulls. The key here is that Ayo is currently questionable, and Ayo Dosunmu has missed the last 2 games, and in those last 2, Josh Giddey has averaged 110 touches per game and 19.5 rebound chances and 17.5 potential assists in these last 2 alone, right? You can see here, if you're looking at the dimes, the potential assists for him in this one, 18 and 17. So 17.5 right there. Rebound chances in the last 2 games as well, 22 and 17. That's 19.5 on average. That's why he's had 2 straight triple doubles. And the triple double right now is still at about plus 280, which seems crazy. But guess what? It's not even the worst odds. Jokic is at like minus 140 for a triple double. So probably still worth it for Giddey. I don't mind the rebounds and the assists. Like I said, the touches are the thing that go crazy without Ayo Dosunmu. Let's wait to see if Ayo is ruled in before we put a bet on Giddey, because that will help his props go down a bit. And then the other guy that we need to wait on to bet before we bet, we need to wait on the Dosunmu news, is going to be Trey Jones. But I think points and assists will be okay. He didn't have a great game scoring, diming last game, but he had 12 potentials. Nobody made a shot when he passed it to them. That's really it. So assists are at 6.5 right now. And if there is no Ayo, I think that's an okay number. If Ayo is in, then Trey Jones' stuff goes way down. You cannot bet on Trey Jones without knowing what's going on with Ayo Dosunmu. And you could bet on Giddey if you wanted to. I just think it makes sense to wait to see, because I don't really want a triple double if Ayo Dosunmu's in, but I think I would still take something like PRA for Giddey. And again, if Dosunmu is in, then this PRA number will drop as well. And I don't think it'll go up too much if Dosunmu doesn't play. I think 40.5 is probably where this settles for Giddey no matter what. So again, you could take this now, but it makes sense to wait for Dosunmu's news to come out. And then if we do have him in, this will go down, and I'll still be down to take an over for Josh Giddey's stuff. Looking at the Jazz and the Timberwolves next, Rudy Gobert, going to go back to him. He failed us on the double-double in this last game, only took 3 shots, made all of them against the Knicks, but was out there for 28 minutes because they got slapped by 23. You do worry that happens in this game. They're 12-point favorites at home versus the Jazz in this game. Jazz don't really give you much to feel good about, coming at them. Ant is questionable. It would make sense that Ant doesn't play, but it would also make sense that he does. If he's coming back in a cup game in an NBA Cup game, maybe they care enough about it. But I mean, they're 12. They should be winning this thing by 12 points with or without Ant, to be honest, against the Jazz. And so I think Rudy though is going to dominate down low once again. I think he should have the 30 minutes. The boards, he had 9 on 19 rebound chances. Knicks with Mitchell Robinson in this last game, much better rebounding team. There's no Walker Kessler for the Jazz. That's the key here. And we're still getting a double-double at about plus 135 or so for Rudy Gobert in this one. I think this is a good opportunity to take him once again. If you look at what he's done against his former team overall head-to-head here since he left Utah, the boards here, he has had double-digit boards in 3 of 5, and the points, he has scored a lot, man. I couldn't believe that he's at 13.5 points per game, 19 points in their last one last year. So, yeah, this is still a good spot for Rudy against a team. So, for the Jazz, like, they're a top 5 defense down low with Walker Kessler. He's not in, and now they are the worst rim defense without Walker Kessler. Teams are scoring nearly 40%. I can't even make this up. Like, it's like 38% of their points at the rim against the Jazz without Walker Kessler. That's absurd. You don't score nearly half your points at the rim. Like, teams don't let you get there that easily. Well, the Jazz will let you get there. So Rudy on the putbacks and everything else, I think the double-doubles to play once again, even though it missed in the last one. Couple more looks here, going to the Warriors and the Nuggets game, and I'm going to be looking at Jamal Murray. This is too low, man. Like, he's not even questionable. I guess he's had like 3 of his last 4 games have been pretty bad, relative especially to 21.5 points. This is a cup game. He does very well against the Dubs. And one more thing that we found using the bot data here that shows us where we've got the matchups and everything. If we look at this game for, let's get to Denver right here. I'm looking at Jamal Murray right here. Golden State allows the 4th most field goal attempts to shot creators. And I mean, you can call him a shot creator. You can call him a movement shooter, whatever you want. Both of them are good enough for me to feel good about Jamal Murray against a defense that's going to be wanting. I mean, Jimmy Butler is questionable in this game. Steph is already not playing in this game. Draymond's going to probably play. But the Jamal Murray number at 21.5 is too low for a guy who is going to, I think, have a fine time against this defense and a team that they should probably handle business here at home. 9.5 point favorites because there's no Curry. I think Jamal Murray will help put this thing away and beat this team by a lot. It's a revenge game. They lost the first game of the season by 6 in OT. This is a cup game where you want to win by as much as possible. I think Jamal Murray does that by helping them by scoring a lot in this one. And then on the other side of the ball, I think Quentin Post is going to get some time in this one. I'm surprised that he didn't play very much in that game against them last time. But you can see there's been a number of games here where he's had like 25 or so minutes. And this Clippers game was a good indication because they wanted him out there to defend Zubac. He's had some good success playing against the Clips. And I think that'll be the case this time against Denver. Like, I think you have to bring some more height in for Jokic, who will probably be scoring a bit more. So the 6.5 points or the threes here, I think it's still 1.5. Oh, yeah, where do I have an offer anymore? If we get 1.5 or anything, even like minus 140, they're going to want him out there to score, I'm pretty sure. And Al Horford has not shown he can play 20 minutes, right? He played 27 once, and then he's got 20. Oh, he had the 29-minute against Denver, too. We'll see if he comes back out. Both of them are probably good plays because whenever you go up against Denver, you want the bigs. And then, honestly, once we get Moses Moody numbers, he's been having some really good success recently. We know Steph is out, and then this Denver defense is actually pretty bad against the spot-up shooting once again. And this is what I think Moses Moody is going to be doing, is sort of playing off-ball a lot and being an off-ball shooter, off-ball scorer for this team who, if they're missing Jimmy Butler, they're going to be down to it, and that's going to make even more minutes available for Moses Moody, which is why he doesn't have lines right now, because he's going to be so heavily affected by what happens to Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy's in, I still think Moody's a good play. If Jimmy's out, Moody's definitely going to be a good play. All right, y'all, like I said, very excited to bring you this matchup data as soon as we can, get it nice and pretty, put it up on landyourbets.com for you guys alongside the model with the projections for each player's points, minutes, rebounds, assists, threes, and then also get you guys the bets that I'm putting down so you can see exactly what I'm playing. But best of luck here on Friday. Till I see y'all next, happy betting.